Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to run through a quick video on my Tom Ford fragrance collection. So if you enjoy content on luxury items, designer goods, luxury experiences, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. It would mean a lot to me. And to those of you who are subscribers and who are returning, thank you so much for tuning in today. So let's just dive right in. Here I have for you today my Tom Ford fragrance collection, which has taken me quite a while to accumulate. I'd want to start this off by saying Tom Ford is one of my favorite fragrance houses. As you can see here, I have more perfumes from the Tom Ford line than I do from any other line that I've purchased perfumes from. Some of the other ones where I have more than one is Parfums de Marly, Maison Francis Kirk de Jean. So, I mean, these guys are competing with a lot of your heavy hitters in the fragrance world. And, you know, some people will come to you and say, oh, well, Tom Ford, you know, it's their marketing, it's gimmicky. Sure, okay, it's working for them, so I don't blame them. But also, I'm very particular to fragrance. I feel like I'm very sensitive to certain notes, and my body chemistry you know, can very much agree with something, but more often than not, just disagrees with something. So to find a fragrance house that really just works for me and my body chemistry, I think is huge. And I think if you are out there looking for new fragrances, looking for a special fragrance for occasions or seasonal fragrances, or just your signature scent, I think the Tom Ford aisle at your local department store, or if you have a Tom Ford near you, I think it's a great place to start and get a good sense of, you know, what fragrances you might like from there. So I'll start off by saying this also, Tom Ford does not come cheap. These are also some of my most expensive fragrances in my collection. Of course, I'll leave it to me to the one that I like the most to be the priciest. But I personally think that most of these are worth the price, but I'll kind of just run you through them and tell you kind of my thoughts. Also, there are plenty of fragrance reviews out there on YouTube that goes into each of the individual notes and what certain people experience. I'm going to give you my overall general impressions of each one of them. Not so much dive into the nitty-gritty of the notes. I will try to capture though just like the high level experience that I get from each of the scents, the longevity of the scent, and the projection of the scent, just to give you a sense of, you know, just how well they perform overall. So without further ado, let's dive into it and go through each one. I will also say, sorry, I know I just said dive through, but I will say these are not all of the fragrances that I've sampled. There are some Tom Ford fragrances that that just haven't been my cup of tea. So I'll also talk to you about those as well as we're going through it and kind of explain what led me to the 7 that I have in my collection. So the first one here, Bitter Peach. So Bitter Peach is a newer release. It only came out a few years ago. And this is actually one of my favorites. I know this one is kind of polarizing. If you look at some videos online, you'll see people, they either love it or they're not blown away by it. For me, this is really an overall just beautiful, perfect fragrance for a lot of different times of the year. So, you know, it opens up with a nice juicy peach note, and there's some spices in there, some creaminess in there, and then it dries down to this beautiful woody scent. Now, with woody scents, sandalwood is something that doesn't always agree on my body and with my body chemistry. For Tom Ford perfumes, I feel like the sandalwood just kind of walks its way up to the line where I think, oh, this might not work for me, and it ends up working beautifully. So with Bitter Peach, it opens up super juicy and dries down nice and woody, and I just love that combination. I love the story this one tells, so it definitely starts off as something and then changes throughout the lifetime that you're wearing it. I wore this one yesterday. I put it on around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, right after I showered, and I had smelt it on my wrist this morning. So I did 2 squirts on one arm, 2 squirts on the other. I like to not overdo it with the Tom Ford perfumes just because I feel like if you overspray, they can really go straight to your head. So you just need to watch it. Start light and build upon it if you need to. This is also a great layering scent. So I think that's why it's one of my favorites in the collection, is because sometimes when I'm starting to lose that juiciness of the peach, you always have throughout the life of this scent, throughout the entire thing, you have like the peach note there, but it's not as juicy as it is just up front when you first spray it. And when that kind of dies down, I tend to like layering some vanillas over this. So that way when it's more woody, it gives it a little bit of sweetness and you still have the peach in the background. And I find that to be a really amazing way to wear this one. So this one I would absolutely recommend, and I will buy it again once I am done with this bottle. Moving on to the next one, we have Lost Cherry, which many of you may have heard of. This one is a very popular one within the Tom Ford line. And for a really good reason. It has this beautiful like amaretto boozy cherry opening, and the cherry in this, it just smells like one of those like liquor soaked cherries, or if you had one of like those dark chocolates with the cherries in the middle that's like liquor soaked, that's what the scent of this reminds me of. This is actually compared to being like a sister of bitter peach because of the dry down. The dry down is woody in this one as well, and it's very similar to bitter peach. Now, here's the thing I would say about Lost Cherry. Where bitter peach opens and is super juicy and lasts for a while and dies down, I lose the cherry here so quickly. Actually disappointingly quickly. And for that reason, while I love having this one in my collection, I don't wear it all that often, and I probably won't buy it again. And I will say this about Lost Cherry. I have splurged and got the candle for this, and I love the candle. That one is a constant, beautiful cherry scent that really dies down quickly with this one. For this one, it lasts me a good few hours. I smell that dry down probably 5 or 6 hours after, but this one definitely dissipates on me quicker than the bitter peach does. So something to know. Again, one that if I smelt someone wearing it, I'd go, oh, Lost Cherry, that smells great. But also one that I wouldn't tell someone, hey, if you're looking to have, 3 fragrances in your collection and that's it, this probably wouldn't be on my recommended ones that you'd need to have. So the next one, the one everyone knows the name of, Effing Fabulous. I'd have no problem saying the name. I just don't know what YouTube is allowed to do or say. So I'll just save myself from that. But this is somewhat what the name says it is. I love this scent. I know some people are like, oh, it's so hyped up. It's just, here's where that whole marketing comes in. It's the name, it's the, it's really not that great, but I do think it's actually a really, really lovely scent. This was the first one of the Tom Ford line that I actually purchased and owned. And I think a big reason was I went into the store, and I highly recommend this. Whenever you're looking for fragrances, and I've made this mistake, and that's why I'm telling you this advice, learn through my mistakes. I've sprayed myself and I smell it, and I'm walking around the store going, oh, that's unique, it's beautiful, it's changing, I love this. And that was the situation with this one in particular. And I was like, I have to have it. So I bought it and I brought it home, and I have worn it a couple times. I don't reach for this one that often, and for that reason I probably won't be repurchasing this one either. It's a really beautiful scent. It's almost like a cozy scent. I know that's not how a lot of people describe it. People are like, oh, it's very loud and it's a going out fragrance, which it definitely is, but it's like going out with a sweater on. Like I don't know, there's a note in here that makes me just like want to be cozy when I'm smelling it. It's gorgeous. The other thing I would recommend this for actually though is if your significant other is really into fragrance, whether it be a male or a female, I think this one walks that line of anybody can wear it. Like if my husband was like, hey, can you recommend something for me going out tonight? I would hand him this bottle, no problem. He just does not like wearing things the same time I'm wearing them. But again, probably one that I won't continue to keep in my collection, but one that I really enjoy having the small bottle of. On to white suede. So what I love the most about white suede is if you're a person who likes how your fragrance smells when you spray it on, and then you want it to just stay that way, this is the one to go for. So I have a funny story of when I was younger. I love the smell of leather. My mom would actually take me to like different shops in the mall and whatnot, and the smell of leather, like something about it, I want to like chew on it. Like I love the smell of leather. I could just like, I'm like intoxicated by the smell of leather. White suede smells like white suede. Oh, I shouldn't say white. White suede smells like suede. Like it smells so beautiful, but it's light. It's not too heavy. It's not like a thick leather. It's like suede, and like in the best way possible. There's also an herbal note in here, which I don't pick up too much of. I forget if it's thyme or rosemary or something like that. I don't know. But I think that the way that this is just put together is really masterful. And the scent that comes out of it is just absolutely gorgeous. This is, although I love this one, again, I don't think this is one that I will repurchase. And the only reason is I don't get enough wear out of it. I actually really like this scent. But it's just not one of the ones that are my like big reach, go for all of the time fragrances. I know that when I was talking with the woman when I had purchased this in the store, it was during the summer that I had purchased this, and I was like, yeah, this really doesn't scream like summer scent to me. And she's like, it's not, but you can wear this like year round. And I do agree with that. But I guess that suede scent to me would be more of like 70 degrees and under, where like I live in Texas, so a lot of the year it's warmer than that. The other thing I would say about this is if you're familiar with Jo Malone's Peony and Blush Suede, so a very different fragrance. They smell absolutely nothing alike, but having the florals with the undertone of suede actually makes me reach for that more this time of year, like coming into springtime here. If I wasn't such a fan, and I'm really not such a fan of florals, if I wasn't such a fan of how the florals are done in the Jo Malones, I'd probably reach for this one more. Or if I'm just in a mood where I don't want that florally scent and I just want the suede scent, I'd use this one. This is one, I would say this, I wouldn't get rid of this bottle. I just don't know that I would purchase it again. So jumping on, so all of the ones that I just showed you are my 30 milliliters, my smaller bottles. So we're gonna jump into the 50 milliliter bottles now. And I'm gonna start off with Tobacco Vanille. So this is gorgeous. This is one I will always have. This is one I will buy over and over and over and over again. I am a huge fan of vanilla-based fragrances when done right, and the tobacco in this, the only way I can describe it is like a wet, moist tobacco. Like not, like it doesn't smell like smoky, like some of my other fragrance. I'm thinking like By the Fireplace is one that I absolutely love, but that's more of like a smoky smell. This is more of like an actual wet tobacco. Like I love the name Tobacco Vanille for this one. It smells beautiful. It smells pretty much the same the lifetime that you wear it. This is one of my, if I'm looking for something that's more of a crowd pleaser and not so polarizing, and something that I'll throw on in the winter or when the weather's colder, this is my go-to. This is one that I don't have in the travel size and that I really need to get because I traveled a couple of times over the winter and I just wish I had something smaller to throw in my bag and bring with me. Like this would be an everyday regular scent that I go to. If you watch some other reviews, they might say, oh, it smells like Christmas. It smells like the holidays. And to some, like I get that maybe, you know, some of the notes that are in here are associated with memories of special days and gathering, but I don't think that this should be limited to just holidays over the winter time. And I don't think people actually do that. I think what they're just comparing it to is what the fragrance reminds them of and what they're nostalgic for when they're smelling it. But I just think overall, like this is what it says. It's Tobacco Vanille. This is actually a good point to bring up. I was, based on the notes online, I was really torn between Tobacco Vanille and Vanille Fatale. And I kind of like, so I'm really into like more herbal, I don't think I'm really into it so much with fragrances. I love it in my cocktails. So I love a good like a thyme infused vodka mixed with certain things or something like along with that. I love also cooking with herbs. Like I'm a huge fan of herbs and just how they smell. So I always love and I'm always intrigued when something looks herbal. Um, Also, just like the notes in Vanille Fatale were very just looked earthy and green, and I was like, ooh, that could really work for me. When I went in to smell them, this was the clear winner. I didn't even need to compare. The other one, I don't want to say it was bad because it's definitely not. It's just, you know, based on your taste and what you like more. On the other one, though, it was, I hate to say it leaned a little more masculine because I don't think that's fair. I think every fragrance can be worn by a man or a woman. It depends, you know, what you like and what smells and notes you're attracted to. But for me, I associate more masculine scents with like vetiver, and those scents that in like the 80s and 90s that I grew up with smelling on men, more of that cologne scent. You know, I never really like, I know vanilla is a note that kind of, you know, can be seen as a masculine fragrance. Rose is a note. Lavender is another note. But those notes are not the ones to me that scream masculine. It's more of like that vetiver. And that is what I got, if I'm remembering accurately, from the Vanille Fatale. I just got more of that with the vanilla, and it just wasn't my speed. This is one that I'll grab and go and wear all the time, and I absolutely love it, and I'm so glad that I have it. And like I said, I would continue to recommend this one and buy it again. Now we're gonna switch from like that winter scent to Eau de Soleil Blanc. And before I go on, so bitter peach lasts a nice long time. Lost cherry, I feel like comes and goes pretty quickly. Effing fabulous. This is one that has a good longevity to it. I feel like it does come pretty close to you after a while, but in the best way. It's really nice. I know I said that I wouldn't buy it again, but as I'm thinking through it and thinking of a time I wore it, it really held up and performed in the way I would expect something that costs that much to. White suede, also this one sits really close to your skin after an hour or two, but it smells really great. So, I love that with scents like this that I feel like are more of, you know, could potentially be a signature scent or could be worn, you know, during the day or at night or, you know, to the office or out shopping or to lunch. Like, I feel like this is one that it's not overpowering, but it stays with you for quite a bit. Tobacco Vanille is one that I do tend to, I think I just love this one so much that I spray it multiple times the day I wear it. I'll spray it in the morning and then I'll have a touch up around like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then even sometimes before I go to bed, if I just want a little more, I'll spray a little more. So it does perform rather well, but this one dies out a lot. And I do like respraying this one. With Eau de Soleil Blanc, this is one. So I'll be honest, looking at Soleil Blanc and Eau de Soleil Blanc, I thought Soleil Blanc would be right up my alley, and people kept calling it creamy. I really love like gourmand fragrances and creamy fragrances, and I love like milky lactonic notes in fragrance. And when people talked about the creamy coconut that you get from Soleil Blanc, I was like, oh, this sounds perfect. I don't want to rule it out. I want to try it a few more times because, as I mentioned earlier, I am one of those people where I might try a fragrance. Bitter peach, I didn't love it right away. I was like, okay, this is unique. This is different. I kind of like it. And after I wore it a few times, I'm like, I really love this. And I realized how much I gravitated towards it and how often I would grab it for just the most random things. With Eau de Soleil Blanc, with Soleil Blanc, I tried it a few times and I just didn't get that creaminess everyone else was getting. I think it was my body chemistry with it. It was very suntan lotion for me and just kind of stayed that way, which I don't think is a bad thing. It wasn't worth it for me. I was reading a bit about Eau de Soleil Blanc. Now, I'm not typically someone who gravitates towards citrusy scents. So seeing those upfront fresher notes in the Eau de Soleil Blanc I was like, well, I'll go into the store, I'll try it, I'll see if I like it. I ended up really, really, really enjoying this one. Would I recommend it? Absolutely. Will I keep it in my collection? Probably because of the price point. This one is cheaper than I think all of the other ones on here because it is not, a perfume. It is like an Eau de Toilette. So it is a little bit lighter. With that, I notice it being a lot lighter. So this is one that I've taken on vacations with me a few times. I mean, obviously it opens up kind of fresh, but you get that coconut, you get that vacation-y feel. It's one that's really great for that kind of setting, whether it's during the day or at night. But, and again, I've worn this only in that type of weather. I haven't really tried wearing it in the cold, and I should, because it's fun to kind of mix it up and to get like those fragrances that remind you of like summer when you're in the dead of winter, right? But this one is on and off me within like an hour or two. Like I have sprayed this, and again, it might be the humidity of the places that I've actually worn this, or just the weather itself that just, I don't know, helps break it down on my skin or something. But I sprayed this before I leave the room for dinner. I'm thinking about a vacation. Every night I sprayed it before going to dinner, and like halfway through dinner I was like, did I spray perfume? Like I barely smell anything. I don't know if that's everyone's experience. I would love to hear if not. Also, if you wear scents and you have other ways that, I try to spray it after the shower, after I moisturize, but if you have other suggestions on just ways to make perfumes last, I'd love to hear them. I also have Atelier's Pacific Lime, which I wouldn't compare to this. It's a bit different. It's more of like a lime and a eucalyptus, but it has like the same feeling that it gives you of like beach vibes, vacation, summer. That one is also, I'm trying to think, it's probably around the same price point as this. And I think I lean a little bit more towards that one. So will I get this one has like a more like a lotiony undertone to it, like the original Soleil Blanc, where that one is more like fruit and eucalyptus. I don't get like suntan oil as much from that one. So I'd probably lean towards that one rather than this one, but who knows? I'm going to keep wearing this. I really enjoy it. I'm glad I have it. I'm glad I have all of these in my collection. I'm just being honest with you of what would I buy again and what wouldn't I. And so far, the only two that I would, without a question, would be Bitter Peach and Tobacco Vanille, and the Lost Cherry Candle, because that one, that's my favorite candle. And here is my last one. And this is probably one of the, I'll call it more special ones in the collection, Lavender Exteme. So I had gotten a bunch of samples from Lucky Scent. And that's how I discovered this one. I always like to smell a lavender scent here and there. It's not one, and again, I think you're gonna know where I'm going with this. It's not one that I always grab or always go for. But it just reminds me like that lavender, that comforting smell, that relaxing, getting ready for bed, or almost like that spa-like experience. I love that scent. So, but do I love wearing it is another question. Anyways, this is probably one of the more masterful perfumes I have ever smelt in my life. So I would say if you're really into fragrance, if you are a fan of lavender at all, it's one that you need to get your hands on. You don't need to buy a bottle, but get a sample through somewhere. I've gotten samples through Lucky Scent. I love ordering samples through them. And I'll put a link, to this down below in the description. I'll put a link to all of them down below, but this one, this one's a little different. It's a little, when you think lavender and you think calming, this one's kind of that, I can't even describe it right because I just don't have like the talent or the nose just to really break it down and kind of tell you all the different facets of it. It's just, it is, when I say I like creamy, this is what I'm talking about. It's dense. It's not heavy. It's not headache inducing. I am sensitive to headaches, with fragrance. None of the Tom Fords give me headaches. I think if you overspray them, they can get too much, but it's not like that headachy kind of fragrance experience that you might get from some others. You definitely smell a burst of lavender up front and throughout the lifetime of this. This is lavender, but Lavender Extreme, I think it's because of all of the other notes that they complement with the lavender. And there is like, I wouldn't call it exotic. There's like this spiciness under this, which just is so different from anything else I have in my collection. And it smells so good. It is, if you are a lavender fragrance person, I think this is the best lavender fragrance you could get your hands on, to be quite honest. I'm such a huge fan of this. When I sampled it, it took like 1 or 2 times and I was like, I need the bottle of that. This is also ridiculously expensive. This is more expensive than your Lost Cherries, Bitter Peach, Effing Fabulous, which is like I guess like their kind of more expensive line. Then you have like the white Suede, you have Tobacco Vanille, you've got some others, and then you know, probably below that would be your Eau de Soleil Blanc. This is just, I feel like, tell me, actually comment if there's others within the Tom Ford collection that are of this price point. Let me put it that way, because I think this one just like sits on the top of the top of the pyramid over there. But is it worth it? Absolutely. But you need to love the fragrance. That's the thing. When you're spending this much money on a fragrance, you need to be absolutely in love with it, and you need to wear it often enough. And I think that's where I wouldn't say love hate. I really do love this. But my a little bit of buyer's remorse comes in with this one. I just don't reach for it enough. I've worn it a few times. It's beautiful. It lasts a long time. It's fairly linear with more of the spices coming out at certain times, which I just love. There's no major surprises. It doesn't turn any certain way on me. I always have that lavender base to it, which I really like, but I just don't find many occasions to wear this. As I'm going through these today, I'm thinking, hey, we're heading into spring. This would be a good time to get some more use out of this. And you know where I could see myself using it more, and I really need to try it, is just what I used to do before I got into fragrance, like during like COVID and everything, when we were all stuck at home and I had literally nothing better to do than order. I have so many samples. I can post many more videos. All the Bond Number 9 samples, the Memo Parrot samples, the Sylvain Delacourt sample. I mean, I have so many samples and small bottles of perfumes, because I just got in the habit of, it was something I would look forward to, and smelling them in the different scents, and I really do love fragrance. But this is one where if like you hold it away, you spray it, you walk into it, you just get a little bit of the dusting of the fragrance and you wear it for the day. I think this would be perfect. And to be honest, I haven't worn it like that, and I should. And I should try it more. So would I buy it again? For the price of it, I don't know. We'll have to see when I get there on that one, because it's like when I tried the samples, it was too good not to have in my collection. I just really admired it, and I just thought it was one of the most unique and most wonderful scents I had ever smelled, yet I don't tend to want to smell quite like it on a regular basis. So is it worth the money to me? I don't know. So just wrapping up them all here, if I only got to keep 2, I think it's pretty clear. I'd be right on this Bitter Peach and Tobacco Vanille. I will likely, if you see how much is used in some of these, I mean, White Suede I'll have for a while. Eau de Soleil Blanc I'll have for a while too. Effing Fabulous. I mean, these are going to last me like years, just with how often I actually wear them. And the Lavender Extreme. So I probably won't come to a place where, you know, I'm needing to buy them because I have them. Not one of these. I have looked at these a few times and I thought, you know, I could probably get some of my money back by selling them. And I just can't part with them. I like having them in my collection. Even if I don't wear them that often, I like having them to spray. So, you know, they're stuck with me, even if they don't get used all that often. But in terms of if I was talking to you and you were saying, hey, Casey, I really like fragrances. I enjoy them a lot, but I want like a signature scent and a couple ones that really just are special and unique to me, I would say these two. These would be the two I'd recommend, Tobacco Vanille and Bitter Peach. I think they're both special in their own ways, but can be worn all of the time. And I really do reach for them a lot. And the other ones, I would definitely, I think they're all great. I bought them for a reason. I tried them all before I bought them. I felt compelled enough to purchase them. But now that I have them, I just don't get the use that I would like to out of all of them. So I hope you found this helpful today. I would love to hear your experience with Tom Ford fragrances, your feedback, if you own any of these, if you've smelled any of these, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, please comment on it down below because I love talking about fragrance and I love just getting others' opinions on it too. But again, I hope this was helpful and I'll chat with you guys soon.